Hi, this is Janesh.
And this is Pranab. You're tuned in to the 30-Minute Hustle podcast.
"30 Minute Hustle" is a community of performers with a story to tell. We believe that each individual has a distinct path towards achieving their goals and are obsessed to learn about their process.
As a platform to bridge the gap between knowledge creators and seekers, we hope their journey will inspire you to accelerate your growth. Welcome to the network of knowledge, mindset, and practice. Today, we have Sukriti Rahul Sharma on the 30-Minute Hustle podcast. Sukriti and I grew up back in Indonesia together. I've seen her put in the hours over the years to get where she's right now. She works in the Indian film industry and worked on movies like Piku, Parched, and Baaghi. And I hope you guys enjoy the podcast as much as we loved hosting her.
Hello.
So super excited to have you here, Suk. And I've been speaking to Janesh and a few others about having you on the podcast for a very long time since we started this.
Early adopters of the 30-minute hustle. And we're super excited. Thanks for like doing this on a Sunday and talking to us about what you're doing. And yeah.
It's okay. Pranab is a really good friend.
Yeah, me and Sukriti go way back. But until I didn't know that she was up to a lot of things. She has achieved a lot of things. But until I started stalking her majorly for this podcast, I realized how cool of a friend I have. I'm glad that I know you for a very long time, and so we'll take it forward from there. So tell us about how you got into the film industry. What has your journey has been from growing up in Indonesia, and we grew up together, so I know how you were in school. So just give us a glimpse of that.
So I think when I was 16 or something, I started to realize that actually, since I was a kid, I realized that I always loved telling stories. And I used to make up a lot of stories, and it was to a point where my mom didn't even know what to believe. She would be like, I don't know what to believe anymore because her lies are so good. And then I realized that I could actually use that somewhere, which could actually create something. And therefore, I realized that I wanted to do something to do with films, but I didn't know what exactly was it. Did I want to just write stories? Did I want to direct stories? I wasn't very clear till I went to college, and I kind of, watched a lot of international cinema from different parts of the world. And where I realized that, okay, I have so many things to tell, and I would like to make my own film someday where I'm able to tell people what I really want to say from my perspective. And I think that cinema is so magical that way, that when you actually sit and you write a story, and then when you go shoot the story, and then when it actually comes out in front of the world, and then people respond back to it, I think that's something that it gets me really excited. So I think it's been quite a journey. I mean, since being a kid who lies, to knowing that I want to tell stories, to actually getting into a school which taught me about films, and then being a part of films. Yeah.
And back in school, we did have a great drama culture going on. Did that influence you into the field you've chosen to be?
No, I think when I got into my college and they told us that, here's a camera, here are equipment, go and shoot films, do what you want, I think. And then, your head starts going into places before sleeping. There are so many ideas that come into your head. And then the next thing you want to do is, just want to note it down. So the next morning when you're waking up, you're actually thinking about those things. And then you're just picking up a camera and you're just going and just shooting random stuff, and then putting it out on the edit table, and then just editing it and making a film about it. I think that is something that I can say can help me, but drama in school, no.
So how did the transition actually happen? it's not a lot of people who completely out of school say, I want to get into film and I want to go study film, right? How did that particular thing happen? So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because like, I don't know, most people when they finish school and they go tell their parents, I want to do film or I want to do cinema. It's not a really, you don't really like, they ask you why, right? So did you get any of those questions? What happened there?
No, I think my mom was just happy that I wanted to do something with my life because I was a very useless kid. So I think my mom was just like, okay, thank God, at least she wants to do something apart from just being lazy or being a log or whatever. So I think it was just a moment of relief for her. So from mom, it's been chill all the time. She's just like, you know what, just do your work. That's all I want. She's never been like, don't do this and be a doctor or be an engineer. What is this film? Nothing like that. It was always like, thank God my daughter wants to do something, because I was horrible. Like, I was such a pain in the ass. Like, my mom's just glad that I made something out of my life.
So, like with what you do right now and excelling in what you do, tell us more about your support system, like from growing up, your family and your pillars of strength. So tell us a little more about that.
I think first has to be my mama, because my mom's, I think, has brought us up really well. And I think that I love the fact that she's such a strong lady, because that kind of reflects on my sister and me. So she's amazing, right? So I think first would be her. And then even financially, my mom supported me a lot, because when I came to Bombay is an extremely expensive city. And then initially you don't get paid that well. So I think that way also my mom's been really supportive. She's never been like, you know what, do something that pays you well. Instead, she's always told me that do what you want to do. I'm here to help you. So I think that's one thing that's always sort of been there. Then, of course, my sister, I mean, I can tell her anything and I get into so much trouble all the time because I'm not very well behaved. So I get into a lot of trouble. So my sister would be there. Then Justin, of course, he is like, I love the fact that, so many times he's just going to turn around and say that it takes guts to be in the industry that you're in. And I think that's such a push for me, because I don't need validation, but that kind of a validation kind of really motivates you. And then, of course, I have my cousins and my family who are like, there for me also in the times when I'm in trouble, which is, again, very often.
Yeah, I think it's great that I don't think I know a friend who sort of studied with me in architecture, and then he shifted to filmmaking, and then now he's into acting, and then there was such a shift, right?
Yeah, it is.
And then it was really difficult for. It's not that his parents never like really supported him, but it was really difficult to make that transition, right? And getting into the film industry is a completely different ballgame to sort of doing anything related to business or architecture or whatever. And he's still grappling with it. He's still like sort of understanding what happens there and how things like sort of work there and how like even schedules are like, suddenly you have a lot of work to do and then suddenly you don't have anything to do, and then you've got to keep your mind like sort of in place and sort of still be in the same sort of mindset and not like be like, okay, you don't know what's going to come out when, right? Yeah. So how was it when you started off? How did you sort of like get after you studied, and how did you get into the film industry, and how was your transition into the industry?
So I was actually in my last year of college when I did my first film, which was Piku. And I failed that year.
Fail school?
I failed college, the last year of college, and I didn't graduate with my batch. I graduated the next year. So my mom's a doctor, a PhD. My sister is a doctor. And for me, even a filmmaking course, which was supposed to be 3 years, finished in 4. So my first project was Piku, and it was in my final year of college. And when I think the first time when I went on set, I think I was extremely overwhelmed. Like I still remember that feeling, like my body was shaking, and I was like, oh my god, I'm actually doing what I wanted to do, and I'm actually on a film set. Like, it doesn't get better than that. And then I remember the first shot that we were shooting on my first day was with Irfan Khan.
Oh wow.
And he walked out of the vanity, and I can imagine my face at that time, because my eyes were like that. And I can imagine there being a twinkle in my eye, because I mean, he was such a fine actor, right? He was one of the best that our industry had. So and then he just comes, and the script supervisor and him revise these lines, and then I'm also reading the scenes for that day, and suddenly, the director says action, and this guy just starts performing, and I was just so mesmerized. And then the second day of shoot was with Mr. Bachchan, and then he walked out of his vanity, and that character that he had, uh it's a guy with a big pot belly,
Yeah.
and he's got that scruffy hair and everything. And then he just comes, and there's that one shot where the woman says to him that, you're such a conjuice
Yeah.
person. And he says, ha hai hum conjuice. And I'm watching all of this, and there's so much, they were improvising so much while doing the scene. And I'm just like, every day, those days, like, were, I mean, I remember it so clearly, because every single day I used to go back home with, like, thinking to myself that, what a magical day, what a magical day. Like,
Memories
yeah,
etched, right? Yeah.
yeah. And I still remember the first day when I packed up. I have gone back, and while I was in the cab ride back home, I remember crying in the cab, because I was so overwhelmed. I was like, I can't believe this is happening to me. And I remember just weeping and weeping, and the cab driver asked me, Madam, sab theek hai na? And I'm like, I don't know what to say, because I was just so overwhelmed by the
I
whole
mean, but that's amazing. Like your first day with Irfan Khan and your second day
Yeah,
with Amitabh, like anyone would be overwhelmed,
exactly.
and that also shows like your passion towards, like, you've obviously sort of struggled to sort of come there, right? And then that sort of really like comes out when you have your first and second day with such big actors and watching them, and
Yeah, and then Deepika Padukone as well.
yeah.
And then, when she walks in, and you're like, how can somebody be so gorgeous? Oh my God, marry me. And then, so it was, and then your director, Shujit Sarkar, I mean, it doesn't get better than that. I mean, he is such a phenomenal filmmaker. And I still remember the first time, I got a call saying, yeah, you got the film. It was somebody from his office. And I'm like, what do you mean I got the film? You mean I can come on set? You mean I'm in? You mean I'll be a part of it? And they're like, yeah, man. Okay.
So tell us about the process of landing this big project, right? Because you're right after college. I mean, in college, and you end up working with Irfan Khan on your first project, and Amitabh, then Deepika. So how do you land this? What is the struggle leading to that?
Okay, I have to say that I'm actually one of the fortunate kids who didn't, I can't say my life has been a struggle, because, and I will address it, because I am fortunate. I made a couple of calls, and I knew people, and I got it. And therefore, I also realized the um, gravity that job had, because to be honest, to be on that bigger project, I didn't deserve it. Maybe some kid out there who was way more deserving could have got that job, but I got it. So I knew that there was such a big responsibility on me to be able to hold that job and do as told. So I was nervous every single day because of that. It wasn't just going on set and everything was happy and all of that. I mean, I had to address the fact that I've got this job really easy, and it's fallen into my lap, and I need to take I first I need to seize the opportunity, Second, I need to be really grateful about it. And third, be very responsible about it and grab as much information possible. And then, yeah.
Wow, that takes a lot
That's a
for
true
someone.
hustler.
Yeah, and it takes a lot for someone to actually also, accept that and then speak about
Yeah,
it. And I
of
think that's great.
course.
I'm so happy you said it also.
Of
And
So,
course.
so,
and the
so
fact that you are also like being very conscious about the fact that you've got something and you want to make the best out of it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting something so easy, it has to be that you are able to gather all the information possible so that in your next project you're able to apply all that information, right? And it can't be that every time you're making calls and people are just helping you out. There has to be a point when people are going to leave your finger and going to tell you that, okay, now you're on your own. But to be good enough to be on your own, you need to seize every opportunity that you've actually got in your lap, right? So I think that is something that I was very sure of when I was going in for my first job.
I understand this can be extremely overwhelming, especially with the projects you started off very early on. So,
Yeah.
what is kind of your struggle post-mortem, right? Like you have a lot of struggle at work, and how are you preparing yourself for this? What is your practice like, and what is your mental stability like when you're understanding and digesting all of this?
So you mean to say when I didn't have work?
When you
Or
had such overwhelming work, how are you
ah,
digesting all of that, and what is your
oh yeah,
mentality like?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like coming home and having a beer was one. And two was that when I was working on Piku, I was actually staying with my family. So that really helped because I would come back home and I had my extremely excited family who wanted to know everything about my day. And I also had so much to say. Anyways, I talk a lot, right? You know that. So I was like yapping, yapping, yapping. And my brother was like, haha, tell me, tell me, tell me. And so all of that was really nice. The fact that I was just with family at that point, I think that all the overwhelming and all of the feelings that I was having, I was able to express it to people who wanted to hear me. And then, of course, there was beer.
Yes, and mental health practice.
Man, I don't know this. Like, I'm just a happy person, bro. Like, I don't take everything so seriously, especially myself. Like, I'm just easy like that. Like, I'm very easy on myself. I don't take myself so seriously to be like, oh, this and oh, that. But people who are facing things, I mean, you should definitely um, seek help or whatever you need or whatever you need to do to stay positive, whether it's yoga, meditation. For me, I'm just easy like that. Like, just I'm chill.
So yeah. So I know the first project would have been very close to your heart. So talk about the
Sure.
relationships you built with your team and your cast and the actors. So how was that like?
On Piku,
Yeah.
particularly. So I ended up doing a couple of ad films with Shajida after Piku even got over, and once I graduated college finally, and then I shifted to Bombay. So I did a couple of ad films with him that really, helped me in building my career because I think he's so good with whatever he does. Then I've been in touch with a couple of ADs on that project, and I'm so happy to see that the kind of work that they're doing now and they're all excelling in their life. I'm just so happy to see that. Like it's such a good feeling that we are the next generation, who are going to be making films or who are going to be editors or cinematographers or whatever, and that's nice. And then I worked with Mr. Bachchan again after Piku as well on KBC, and I've done a couple of ad films with him. And then we did another film which hasn't been released yet, and God knows when it's going to release. Yeah, so I mean, it's nice.
So we know that you've been working on a lot of interesting projects. So you worked on Piku, you worked on Parched, which I love that. I love that movie. I think it's a superb movie. And you worked on Baaghi 3.
Yes.
Yeah. So with all that excitement, what's the closest, like most special project for you till now?
Baaghi is very close to my heart. I think because of my director, that film's very close to me. Like I look at Ahmed sir as a mentor, a guru. He is so nice with the way he is with his team. Like it's so important when you're working with someone. They have every director basically have their own little tricks and own little bag of magic, and it's very important that your team understands that. So a lot of directors can be possibly wanting to do all of those things but don't have enough time to explain those things to their team. But that man, he is so good. He's so good that if ever he's doing something out of the box or something really different, he makes sure that his team understands why he's doing it and why and how is he technically going to pull it off. So when somebody starts telling you things that are technical, you start thinking like that and you're able to understand their vision, which is so important. So I feel that film has technically taught me so much. Like if it was like a battlefield, that film, because we were in Serbia for like some 50 days shooting in -11, and Tiger was shirtless, and that was amazing. But but it was just it was a task. It's not easy to get out of bed with 2 hours of sleep and going, telling yourself, okay, I can do this when it's -11. It's tough. So that film was like a battlefield for us, and I think we emerged victorious.
So I was going to ask you, so how, like, for people who are nowhere close to a film set, how is it how is it to be in a film set? Like just give us tell us how it is. You're a storyteller. You should tell us like the best way how it is.
Okay. So firstly, it's an experience, right? I think I should start a side business where I tell people, "Aapko film set dekhna hai, take you film set, give me
Yeah,
500
that's
bucks
actually a
for
good
costing."
idea.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? Like film set is such a world of its own. Okay, so there is a lot of panic. There are too many people.
Too many ADs running around trying to like get everything.
No, so that's the thing, right? Not only ADs, you have the cinematographer's team, the art team, you've got the costume team. So it'll be, I mean, if to explain it to you department-wise, I'll tell you. So every AD is going to be probably overlooking the department that they are supposed to be handling. That's one. So they are going crazy. The art department is going to be making sure that all the set dressing is on place and nothing goes haywire, and to make sure that nothing breaks before the take. I think that's such a task because everybody's running around. So you'll always see the art assistant go like, "Hey, udhar se ja, hey, chal, chal," so that's there. And then you have the costume department who's going to be running around with clothes like that. "Sir, ek approval de do na, sir, kya pehna hai, sir, approval de do." So that's happening on one corner. Then you have the director who's probably going to be sitting in one corner thinking to himself, how am I supposed to get this shot right? And then you have the cinematographer's department, the DOP's department, who's going to be, one side is going to be the gaffer, one side is going to be the assistant cinematographer, who's going to be making sure the lights and everything are okay. And all of this is happening at the same time, so that you can roll. Then finally, the actor is going to come on set. The actor is going to give their input. If they like it, if they don't like it. If they like it, we're ready to roll. If they don't like it, sit for an hour or two maybe, and then we'll start rolling, if you're lucky.
You've worked on various different types of films, if I can say that, right? So what is it that you've taken away from each of those genres, and what is it that you've learned from each of your projects?
So I think this project, which I'm working on currently, is called The Battle Within. It's with Aditya Roy Kapoor, and we've got some really crazy cast as well that I can't say till it comes out in the paper. So sorry, uh, and this and Baaghi have made me technically really strong, and both of them are action genres. So I end up learning so much stuff about action that I never thought that I'd be interested in. Right? Like right now, I'm watching Fast and Furious, and I never thought to myself that I'm going to be sitting and watching Fast and Furious, to be very honest with you. But now I'm interested in that kind of cinema. So that is something that it opened up to me as well. Um, then with films like Parched and Love Sonia, and to a certain extent, the biopic that we did on Sunny Leone, I think those films have been very women empowering for me, where I have sort of also not only had an experience where I'm able to, take things just technically or work-wise, but I think something personal as well, where I've been very happy about being a woman and embracing those things and feeling liberated at the end of the day, And then there are films like Piku, which have like a subtle undertone of a message, which is of the greater good, which starts a conversation. And that's the kind of cinema that attracts me as well. Like, I feel like if I wanted to make a film, it has to be something that starts a conversation. I mean, it has a story, and it's all that jimbang of a commercial film as such. But I do want to bring out a conversation. I want there to be. I wanted to start a conversation amongst the masses. So I think different films have been different that way for me. But I'm currently really enjoying this whole action thing.
Nice.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So how's the film industry changing? Like, with OTT coming in and distribution getting like extremely digital, and the audience like watching everything what's available for them digitally over their phones. So how's film changing? Like,
So as much as it hurts to say this, it is happening. But I love watching films in the theater. I think it's such an experience, right? When you go to the cinema hall, you sit on your chair, you get your popcorn, and then there's a large screen in front of you, and that's all that you can see. And then there are no interruptions, like suddenly your mama screaming from background, hey, uchao, kya kar rahe ho? I don't enjoy that stuff, right? Or like, yeah, or like the fact that you can pause it whenever you want. If you're watching it with a friend, they'd be like, hey, 1 second, I just want to go to the washroom. So you're like, okay, pause. And saying, like, barring all of that, yes, OTT is a platform where people are able to watch films now. And I'm glad that new content is coming out, especially because of the pandemic that we're going through. And I don't think it's safe to go to the cinema halls. And yet we're able to watch the really good content that is being put out there. So that's great. But yeah, I miss watching in the theater.
Yeah, there is a huge difference with how the sound actually affects you and the effect
Yeah.
actually affects you, right? You don't really get that with something when you're sitting at home. It's very difficult. It's extremely difficult. I think there are like a couple of projects that you could do specifically for OTT, and
Yeah, absolutely.
and some just need to be like something that you need to go see in the theater. No,
Yeah, the larger than life films.
exactly.
Like I'm telling you this, I have seen Baaghi over 150 times.
Wow.
Right, I've seen that film because while we were making it, we were watching the film every day. Whether you're at dub or you're at sound mix or you're at VFX, you're constantly watching your film. But every time we watched it, it was on the large screen because that's how you work on it.
Okay.
So every time I watched it, because it's a film that's larger than life, I mean, you have 3 choppers, you have 8 tanks and stuff like that. The impact was so much. You're like, yes, Tiger, go for it, do this. You're feeling it, even though I know the story, I know how it's going to end, I know who dies, I know what's going to happen, right? But you still feel it. Versus right after Baaghi, actually, the pandemic happened and the lockdown happened, and my family couldn't watch the film. So the day the film released OTT, it was really sweet. I was staying with my family during quarantine. So my cousin, she made this little invite for everybody in the house,
So cute.
where it was like 8 p.m. screening, first floor, the address, and the timing and everything. And she made a really sweet thing. And then apparently before the film started, I had to give like a little speech about the
That's
film.
so
And
nice. Yeah.
it was like an actual screening that happens in the industry, right? Like where the director gives a speech, and you come in and the snacks are given to you. So on the dining table, the snacks were put. You can come choose your whatever you want to have while the film's going on.
And you have
And
your interval and no pausing.
no, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like,
Oh, okay.
because we were so many of us, somebody or the other wanted to pee, or somebody would be like, kya bola? Hey, rewind karna. And then, and then you have like, that impact just didn't come through. I felt it because I had seen the film so many times, but I think my family was just so happy that, oh my God, our little kid did something. So, they were all mushy and cute about it, but I felt the difference. So I think some films are okay for OTT, but some films you just have to see it on the big screen, bro.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
you
like,
go.
I do believe OTT has given an access to films and, like, access to art, and I've made it a little more equal for everybody, every performers out there, so they could also put their talent out.
Absolutely,
So I think
110%.
yes, and I do think like that's a great avenue, especially for a country like India where there are thousands of artists who are just looking to get on screen. So,
I agree.
and this has also made like a lot of local movies also come in the limelight. So
Yes.
I think technology is playing a great avenue there. So
I agree with you 100% that there's so much talent in our country, whether it's to do with acting, writing, directing, being an editor, being a cinematographer, being being a production designer, whatever field you want to get into. I think there's so much scope in our country, and I'm glad that OTT is giving a platform to everybody now. Like, I feel like everybody has some work or the other to do. So that way, I 110% agree with you, because we have a lot of talent in this country.
Nice. So another interesting project that you worked on, it's a very recent project. It's Cheer Haran. Am I saying it right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So it's not recent, actually. We shot that film in 2016.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was a documentary film about the Jat riots that had happened in Haryana. And shit, man, that film really puts me in a dark place. So we shot that film in 2016, and that film had to fight a lot of court cases before it could actually be released in the cinema. And we finally won this year, and
Wow.
the film did get a release. And it was about the riots that had happened in the state of Haryana. That film sort of shifted my center, I feel, while we were shooting it, because I think when you know that it's not scripted, when you know that the emotions of the people are absolutely real, and it's not something that as soon as I say cut, they won't feel that emotion anymore. Or it's just not those 12 hours that you come on set and you're being that character. You have to live with the pain that that you've gone through. So a couple of kids during the Jat riot, when there was an open fire, a couple of people from the age group of 16 to 35 passed away. I think almost 18 people had passed away for no fault of theirs. It was just an open fire. So we got to go to those families and talk to those families firsthand. So to know somebody has lost their son and saying something like, he was the person who would get bread butter for our house, and he's no more now. We don't know what we're going to do. Or for someone to say, we have so much loan on our head, and he was the one paying that loan. We don't know how to pay that loan anymore. Or for someone to even say that I got a job which I was working for 3 years, and I was doing well, and I was providing for my family, and suddenly, because the government has decided to pull back the quota, I don't have that job anymore. So when you hear about such stories and people are actually crying in front of you, and you say cut, but the tears don't stop because it's all so real, I think that sort of really shifts your center, because
So was this when the riots were actually happening and you guys were
yes,
there, and
yes,
that must have been really scary too, right? While
yeah, it
while it's happening,
was.
yeah. And how like this was like which when was this project? Like was this before like after Piku?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
wow,
After
that's like
Piku,
super like early for you in your career, right?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So the first time that the director called me for it, I was the first person to get hired on this project.
Oh.
Um, yeah, so I remember going and meeting the director, and the director just kind of threw the idea in that this is something that I'm planning on doing. It just immediately caught my attention, and I was like, "Sir, whatever happens, just I don't care how much you can pay me. I just want to be a part of this." And I was like, it's just, I think the fact that I think Pranab would be able to relate to this is that, we've not been brought up in the country. So there are a lot of times that we don't know a lot of things that happen in the country. So to being able to go into those little villages of India and just seeing how people live, and just seeing that kind of a lifestyle that you never imagine, I think all of those things also end up sort of building you and your character. Like, I remember coming back from that film and I realized the difference between sympathy and empathy, and I think that they are very different things. So that
Absolutely.
is something that I learned from that project, and I think it's something that stuck by me till today. And another thing that stuck by me was that you can't choose to be empathetic with things. It's something that you always are.
So true.
So
Yeah.
so if that is the kind of person you are, then that is your characteristic. So I think that film, as a person, changed me a lot more than learning anything about filmmaking. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the trailer and it was pretty touching and
Yeah, it was. I mean,
um yeah,
our cars,
And
I think we really need to see the movie
yeah,
to really
you do.
understand
and
what
I
you.
saw some pictures. I saw some pictures, Sukriti, just like maneuvering through the ride, I suppose, and
Oh
it
my
was quite
God.
crazy. And I think I did see that couple of years back.
Yeah.
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 Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Right. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when the film comes out, which it will soon now on OTT, I suggest that you guys definitely watch it, because I
Of
think
course.
so something that gave me a little validation on the film was my sister is not very emotional. Actually, she's not emotional at all. We're like pole opposite when it comes to that. She's like a very headstrong kind of a person, and nothing makes her cry that easy. I mean, if you make her cry, it means she's really upset. And, you so she came for the screening of that film a couple of years back. And I remember that after she saw the film, when my name came in the credit list, she stood up and she was crying. And she didn't speak the whole time when we were coming back home. And I was like, okay, maybe I really wasted some time of hers and she's upset, or what is it? I'm not understanding. And then I just remember we came back home and we got into our pajamas to go to sleep. And she just turned around and she said, "I'm proud of you."
Wow.
And she cried. So I was like, okay, now I get it. Like, this film is something. It is. It really is. When you see it, that pain of the people will come across for sure.
So when it's out, I think we'll probably host it on our social
Yes.
channels as well. Probably we could
So,
have a private screening done like on online. All right.
yeah,
So
I'll call
so
the director for you guys.
awesome. See, we have privileged access there. So yeah.
Yes, he's an
Uh,
amazing
so
person.
so so where do you see yourself in this industry down a few years, and what is your optimum that you want to reach, and what do you envision?
Okay. So this is something that I had it was a very recent realization. Not recent, I mean, 1.5 years recent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had that realization where I actually just stopped myself and I told myself, I'm not here to be the best assistant director. I'm not here to, be the best assistant or whatever. I'm here to make films, and that is going to be my focus. So everything else just became noise to me, whether it was the bad working hours, or it was not getting along with someone on set, or any of that. It just all became noise to me, because I was like, I just want to make films, and I just want to direct my film, and I just want to tell my story. That's all that I want to do. And that just became a clear focus to me. Like, everything else doesn't matter. Nothing. It's just, I want to write my film. I want to get somebody who trusts me enough to put money in that film, and I want to tell stories. That's it. That's my vision as of now. And tomorrow, maybe if I have a lot of money, I would love to be a producer as well, like make more money. And then I also have another alternative where, when I make enough money, I really want to help the wildlife in India.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
That's something that I really want to do.
And anything in specific with wildlife?
I don't know about specific yet, because I don't think that it's something that I can say. It's just that I want to make sure that the sanctuaries that there
So
are
true.
just, I think they
Just-
need to be
yeah.
preserved. And I think
So yeah.
And
So
So you
that's
could-
something that I really want to help
So,
them.
yeah, Sukriti, or you could invest in our business where we give some parts of our, our profits to the rhinos of Assam. So
Oh, wow. Lovely.
through my incense social business that I run, I think you know about that. So,
Yeah, I do.
so I would definitely ping you up, and you could write a check for us.
Yes,
But
definitely.
there's something that I really wanted to ask you, Sukriti, and we ask this to most of our guests. And you've gone through this process of going, and we went through your journey. What would you tell your 21-year-old self?
I think just to not panic. I used to panic so much back then. And then I realized that it's okay. If you keep at it, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
I just want to tell my old self to not panic.
Yeah.
Like, dude, it gives you pimples. It makes you look bad. Excessive lines. I don't want that shit, man.
So we're going to go to a photo round. So we're going to share some pictures of your work.
Shut up.
What
You
you've
got
done
it
so
off my
far.
social media only.
I did completely. I stalked you for a couple of days. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to increase the view to full screen.
Full screen mode.
Cool. So that's the first picture of you and Tiger.
Oh.
So tell me about that. Where was this?
This is in Serbia. And we were doing a reading over here before the scene starts. So this was my first film as a continuity and script supervisor, which I will tell you about later if you are wondering what that is. So before the shot started, he's like, let's do one reading now. And I was like, let's do it. So this is us discussing the scene and him saying his lines, and I was reading out Shraddha's lines. And he's like, and he even told me that you're a horrible actor. He's like, mera emotion nahi aa raha because tumhara emotion nahi hai.
Would you ever act? I think you've been put on a spot where you've had to act, right?
Pranab, did you tell him this?
We've done our research. Don't worry. We're very good
Yeah,
at it.
we did. So you haven't answered that yet.
Next. What's the next photograph?
Cool. So is this at -11?
Yeah, this is not -11. This was comparatively, I think it was -2. Hey, again, look at me killing it. This is me making notes. So Ahmed sir is really, really creative, right? So I would come with my piece of paper of the script for that day, And before every scene, Sir would sit with all the actors and kind of brief them about the scene and tell them about the, the emotion and how he wants every actor to kind of enact it. And suddenly within the scene, because okay, so because all of them would be kind of talking about the scene, suddenly midway he would say, "Aisa line nahi hona chahiye, aisa line hona chahiye," and I'm like, what? And I had to quickly write that line down because any one of them could ever turn around to me and ask me, "So what did Sir say? What was the line changed to?" And therefore, it's just me noting down everything that's going in before a scene. Oh my God, I love this picture. Okay, this is actually this is an epic story, by the way.
Okay.
So this is me shooting for Piku, and Mr. Bachchan had just come out of his vanity, and we were chatting on our way to set. And I'm not sure who clicked us or whatever. I'm not sure. But I think the next day or something, this photograph ended up coming on the newspaper. So, so I've gone to sleep and everything. And then the next morning when I woke up, it was scary because I had some 1 million messages and calls.
Wow.
And my mom was just like, "Call me as soon as you wake up," in caps. Okay. And I'm like, "Shit, yeah, I've screwed up. I've done something. I don't know, like something's happened." And then I scroll through other messages and people who don't even text me on like a daily have texted me. And it was like, when it's your birthday? And people message me and you're like, "Oh shit, I have a conversation with this person now." Yeah, like that shit, exactly. Or like people who message you and you're like, "Shit, yeah, now I have to reply to this person, hold a conversation, shit."
So what are you telling Mr. Amitabh?
Sure,
Looks like you're talking to him.
I think something. I think
you have tea in your hand.
No, I don't have tea. I'm playing with my nails.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm playing with my nails. I think I don't remember, like maybe some bullshit, of course. Yeah, some crap. This is my most favorite picture.
Oh.
Yes, and tell us about Irfan.
Yeah.
He was the most he was the best at improvising, right? Every take there was something magical and it wasn't the same from the previous take. So if like when a director says one more, it usually means that he wants the actor to do something differently. But then a lot of actors, even when you say let's do one more, they might give you the same thing. And therefore you just keep retaking till they hit the nail. But with this man, if you actually see his takes on an edit table, each take is different from one another. And that's magical. Like, how could you possibly improvise so much or have such a different take on every different line in every single shot? I mean, it was amazing. And this is the time when I was telling him that I am from Indonesia, and he said that he really wanted to visit. And then we had made a plan to go to Indonesia together. And yeah, this is that time.
Does that the fact that he's done so many improvisations, does that really help a director or an editor when they?
Of course.
Yeah, I was thinking
of course, because when you see one take and you're like, then you see the second one and you're like, yeah, he's hit it. It can be confusing though sometimes because you're so good. It can be confusing to really know what the best is. Maybe that's one thing, but it's never a time when you look at the performance and be like, it's not good enough because this man was a genius. It's biggest loss in the industry, I feel.
Yeah, let's go on this. Yeah.
This one? Oh, this is during our dubbing days for Baaghi. So I was handling the dub. And this is one of the days where we've just decided that let's do a photo shoot. So I have like another 10,000 of such pictures of us posing and doing different things. And this is after the dubbing got over. And we decided that we're going to have chart or bail or something like that. So before we ran in to do that, we've decided to do like a little photo shoot of ourselves. Like we have full posing and all also. I'm just not going to post that. So that's my mentor.
Is this Ahmed Khan? Oh, yes, nice.
Ahmed Khan. And that's his wife, Shaira Khan. So Ahmed sir is my mentor. I have a lot of respect for this man. I mean, he has taught me so much. I'm thankful to him all the time. Like, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, I am blessed to have this man in my life, because he is just, he's a genius, man. He's a genius. He's got he's got plan A to Z, everything in his pocket. Like, just say it that it's not going to happen, and he's going to know exactly what to do next, because he's a genius. And then that's Shira ma'am. She's his wife and also his support system. And she is one of the nicest people that I have met. I mean, she's so caring. She's so caring. Like, she doesn't need to do the things that she does for us. But then when she does, it's just amazing. And in Serbia, I remember that there were so many days when I would just, be in a bad mood, when I would say things like, I miss my mom and I miss my family. And she would just give me a tight hug, and she would just sit like that for a while. And she's like, I hope this helps. And, they're so nice. I can't. Hey, this is iconic, bro. So this is a picture that I always say it's a legend and legend in the making. Because this is one of my favorite. Oh my God, I have to frame this. Yeah. Look at it. Okay, so this is when Jaguda and Tiger both were shooting on set, and everybody was very excited because both of them, for the first time, were going to shoot a film together or do a scene together. So the entire set was going crazy. So before we started rolling that day, Tiger came on set, and I was like, Tiger, I need you to pinky promise one thing. And he's like, what? And I'm like, promise me I'm going to get a picture with you and your dad today. And he's like, okay, promise. So then suddenly, because I started this trend, as soon as I moved out, the second person's coming and the third person's coming. And I'm like, okay, this is not special anymore, man. Everybody's getting these pictures. It's so not cool. But, and I remember, I even remember the conversation in this picture. I looked at Jaguda and I'm like, looking dapper, yeah, looking dapper. I said something like that to him because both of us were wearing shades, and he's like, bro, no shades. I was like, dapper, Jaguda, it's just killing it. And he's like, abu tiger ko dekh or tiger ko compliment de. And then we were just like, what? And it was so funny. I love this picture also. Look at it, I'm so happy.
And which movie was this?
Baaghi. So this is again during dubbing. This was his last day of dub, and I remember, and I'm like, Jaguda, let's take pictures. Even this is a photo shoot, by the way. I have like 1,000 pictures of so many pictures like this because we've got one full biru like this, standing and looking at each other. We've got one like we're back to back with each other, and then we've got one hugging. Yeah, he is such a cool guy. Oh my God, I can't even.
Okay, I've got something fun to share. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
All right, what is
that?
this about?
Right.
Hey, play that again. I want to see that.
Right. No big deal. Come on. Amazing. Yes.
What was that?
Okay. So one of my colleagues was like, can you come quickly and put my eyeliner? So I rush out because I'm like, the party's about to begin. I need to put her eyeliner. So I'm like on my phone and I'm rushing out. And suddenly I realized that I have walked into his paparazzi time when he was being papped. So I just pretended to go all fangirl and be like, oh God, is that Adi Roy Kapoor? And he's like, oh God, just come here and pose for a picture now. And then we're like, okay, I was like, okay, fine. And then he starts saying, telling the paps, ma'am ka solo lo. And the paps are like, ma'am, ka solo, like, who's this? Like that. And then he goes like, she's the best continuity script supervisor in the world. Ma'am ka solo lo. I've got so shy and I've just run out from there. So that was me having a little bit of a moment with the paps. And this video
Crazy.
went viral, by the way, on Instagram.
That's why we got it here.
It like, I remember going to set after this video was made. Every single person on the set had seen this, from Spot Dada to any other person on set had seen this video. Ma'am, aap to famous ho gaye, ma'am. I'm like, like everybody had seen it.
Another favorite question of ours, right? So we give you an empty billboard which you want to showcase to the world. What would you write about?
Give me anything.
Anything.
It can be anything.
Short
It
and
can be in
sweet.
one liner or your favorite. Yeah, anything. It's an empty billboard to showcase what you want to tell the world.
It just probably say live and let live.
And yeah, I think there's one more question here.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's success to you, Sukriti? What is success to you?
Yeah, maybe the day I can sit on my couch, or I can lie down in bed and I can take a long breath and tell myself that I am exactly where I wanted to be professionally or in my private life, and feel grateful and happy for it. But a long way to go for that. For that, really, like that, I have arrived. Long way to go for that. maybe that. And maybe the day when my mom, Justin, Strish, my family come to see a screening of my film and it says directed by Sukriti Rahul Sharma. That would be my first step.
Who's
Wow.
Justin, by the way?
Justin is your best friend and also my boyfriend.
So glad to have you here, and thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the 30-Minute Hustle podcast. You can follow us on Instagram for all our latest updates. Until next time, signing off, this is Pranab and my co-host Janish.